right after this one, but not before this amazing match. In the bottom left-hand side, it is the hero of America. It is MCanning.
And his opponent. Spotting up at the top right, it is because of Vindicta. I was thinking because of Winn-Dixie.
What? Okay, yeah, you are tired.
It's like because a kids movie. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. I am not, I was not raised in America or Canada. So a lot of those kid movie references will usually fly over my head. Yesterday, I was singing Bananas in Pajamas, for example. Right? And our observer, Neil, was like, oh, no, that song is trapped in my head. But all I know is Bananas in Pajamas. And I just assumed that that's how the song starts in English. But I only know the song in Spanish. So I replaced the N by in, which is the same thing. And then I don't know how to continue in English because I've never actually heard the song in English. I didn't let anyone know that because, then Wardy or I think the Muslims started singing it, I think. Or Jess, but I don't actually know.
Yeah, I mean, that's you got the most important part. It's kind of like remembering tequila and tequila. Like it's no one else really cares about the other part. I think my favorite part of recent movies, just a fun little thing that really made me smile, was Into the Spider-Verse. Created the most relatable scene, I think, in all of cinematic history, where it's got Miles Morales, the main character, and he's bopping along to his favorite song, and he's like, he's singing Sunflower, but he's just like,
yeah. That was great.
And he just starts mumbling the words, and I was like, wow, what a perfect rendition of what it is to be human. It
was beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. I know that scene. In that scene, I knew that I loved that movie, and it actually is my favorite movie. I think, if not ever, at least in over the last few years, that movie is incredible. So yeah, and I knew in that scene. So I'm so happy that you bring it up because in that scene, I was like, yeah, I love this movie already, right? Like it's clear that it's going to be a very human movie, a very character-driven movie.
Yeah, they really nailed it with that. It's one of my favorite movies too, I think, for sure. By the way, we've got to talk about this game a little bit. It was a Nexus before Cybernetics Core, which means that the Adept was a little bit delayed, as well as MCanning didn't get eyes on this bunker, so it completes. It's an Adept, not a Stalker, which means that it's going to be a little bit more difficult to deal with this. Now, he does actually manage to zone that out. Nice job. Very nice job, actually, from MCanning.
That was really good. I mean, manages to basically evacuate the bunker. Now, Vindicta's going to have to go all the way around. Is MCanning going to be ready for the Reaper looping back around? The Reaper's actually just going to go straight into the main, which is now not ideal. Good move from Vindicta as well to readjust, but a good answer from MCanning sending the Shade back into his main. So, yeah, gets rid of the bunker. And all in all, good moves from either player, but MCanning getting the better of that exchange, I would say.
Yeah, especially considering the potential for it. The potential of denying mining time for like a fair bit longer was there. And he wasn't able to do anything more. He's going to lose the SCV. I think he did salvage the bunker, so he gets that away. We are going to see the probes being forced to get pulled. There is a shield battery here to keep them up. Even with some big lineup shots, doesn't really matter too much. Oh, but the scout in the main base on the Dark Shrine coming in from that Reaper, very nice. It even forces a big probe pull. That's a really, really nice win for Vindicta.
Yeah, the Reaper will get taken down, same as the Hellions in the natural expansion. So Vindicta's gonna adjust to the Dark Templar play by making a Raven. That can still be Archons right away, and I would have almost rather MCanning go for charge right now, just to try to utilize the Archons because the Dark Shrine was scouted. But it seems like he's gonna still try for the DTs and maybe just continue to play his plan as per usual, as normal, right? Like just get that blink, get that third, and chill.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to let the Dark Shrine finish, which is okay, but not amazing. But weird that he's not getting a War Prism with this.
Ooh.
Like he just skipped right into Colossus tech. Huh.
Very interesting.
If you're going to do that, I feel like you just canceled the Dark Shrine, right?
I think it's weird, right? Like the Dark Shrine has so much utility later on that even if you don't do damage right now or don't do anything with it right now, you can still kind of defend with it. You can defend drops later on. You can maybe poke at like later bases, and eventually you're gonna want a Dark Shrine. So it's just an issue of does he really need the money for something else, or is it okay for him to just finish it? It's not that expensive a building, I guess.
No, I think it's only 100 minerals, 150 gas. That's one of those weird ones where because I don't play Protoss, I don't think about it all the time. But I do know that it's not as expensive as it used to be for specifically that reason, because it used to be that if it got scouted, it was like 250 gas. And that was so bad if it got scouted. He scans to see if it was canceled. And now this looks like a genius move from MCanning. The fact that he didn't cancel it, because now Vindicta does have to respect it. And now he knows, like, okay, I got to be a little more careful with my Raven. I've got to... It's one of those things where until he knows whether it's canceled or not, it's like Schrodinger's Dark Shrine, you know? Like, it's almost better for Vindicta until he knows. And then once he knows that it's finished, yeah, look at that. There he goes. He builds up a missile turret. Boom, just like that. He wouldn't have built that otherwise.
Yeah, there was already a missile turret in natural, now making one in the main, in spite of him already opening with the Raven. Forced the scan, obviously. The scan does gather extra information, though. There is that robotics bay as well researching, so Vindicta knows that there is going to be Colossus or something of the likes. Probably, definitely Colossus, actually, unless there was like War Prism speed and Disruptor, I guess.
I do feel like Vindicta is his army supply, by the way, is off the hook. I feel like he is one of those Terrans who is a lot more willing to like cut SCVs at random times to squeeze out just a little bit more unit production. When I think of a player like Hero Marine or one of the more, stable players that we think of, they're always prioritizing SCV production over everything. I think of Vindicta as someone who's willing to cut a little bit more.
Yeah,
ooh, sure. Nice move right here. Oh,
cut right from the air there. As these stalkers are gonna catch that medevac. Now Vindicta moving out, but I mean, this is not really timed with that medevac anymore, as it will not be creating any chaos. And if MCanning was gonna struggle to hold this before, it's gonna be a much easier hold now, right? Like a medevac full of units trading for nothing is not what Vindicta was hoping for. And like you mentioned, he hasn't been making as many SCVs or keeping up, at least with MCanning, as well as he could have. And that means he kind of needed to make something happen with this.
Yeah, and there is still... I'm almost surprised that he's not pushing with this, because the Raven had enough for 2 interference matrices that would have disabled both Colossi. I'm not saying he could have ended the game or, gotten a lot done with it, but I feel like because he cuts those SCVs, he kind of puts himself into a situation where he has to take advantage of that sometimes. We are seeing him shift a little bit more focused into pure SCV production. Oh, wow. Now that missile turret actually is going to get value. Oh, well, that's not supposed to happen, but that's very nice for Vindicta.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice, but is it still enough? This Widowmine also will get a pretty good shot, so another one, as he will take a Stalker down and bruise a couple more. MCanning is going to be opening up now on the map, as he has had an economic advantage for a little bit. Vindicta now catching up on that regard, so maybe MCanning is looking for whatever gap he managed to create with that. It's not a great gap, it's a little bit of extra army supply, but he has the tech where maybe he can make something happen. This Raven is very scary against those Colossus, but there is both Colossus and Disruptor, so...
Oh, and the Disruptor force field combo was quite nice.
Yeah, it's not a bad shot at all. One of these Archons will not go down just ever so barely. The DT tries to sneak into the natural, but is unable to. Another Widowmine, I heard it, didn't see it. Sebastian? Where was it?
I'm very... Oh, it looks like it was on the ramp on the right side. Wow, that's very random. I'm surprised how well that fight went for Vindicta. It felt like MCanning had good potential there, but there was just a lot of bio and not as much meat in MCanning's army. So Vindicta took a surprisingly good fight right there. He's only on just 1 Colossus as like the backbone of his army. So this is a kind of scary moment, I feel like, for MCanning.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind him adding another Colossus, especially now that the Raven has been taken down, right? So I agree with you here, as Vindicta is going to choose to retreat, and at this point he's well caught up in terms of workers. He is going to be ahead economically as a result, because he has the mills to work with. And yeah, he's going to be happy moving into the later stages of the game. Again, Vindicta is a multitasking beast. Promotes his stream as the fastest Terran in North America, and he may very well be.
Yeah, I think it's definitely reasonable. Oh, unfortunately, he will get this medevac caught on the left side. That was like almost all of MCanning's army. So Vindicta recognized that and went on the right side. He could have maybe gotten something done, but I think he just assumed it was just the stalkers, and it's very reasonable to assume that. I wouldn't expect that MCanning would send his whole army to deal with that. We do have to note, by the way, the second... Oh, Ruptor Man, no, why? Oh.
Well, he always does get a super big shot. It's kind of his thing.
Oh my god. How did that even happen?
I have no idea. Yeah. I mean, some sort of a misclick. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, which, don't know.
That caught me off so off guard. I forgot we have player cams, and I didn't even look to see what MCanning went through with that one, because it has to have been quite an emotional journey. By the way, MCanning teching up really hard, getting Shadow Stride. He's been getting double upgrades this whole time, and adding on Storm as well. We don't often see Storm in this matchup as much because Enhanced Shockwave's EMPs are so good, but it is an incredibly high-powered setup if you can do the Warp Prism Storm combo.
Yeah, completely agreed. I think you need that Warp Prism in order for the Storm to be effective. Otherwise, the Ghosts are just kind of reign supreme with Enhanced Shockwave. Ever since that upgrade came out, the matchup has changed considerably, and most often in favor of the Disruptors that we know MCanning loves.
Yeah, which is maybe him playing into his reputation. Like, he's always been known as Ruptor Man. So now for him to go for the Storm instead is a little bit of a neat maneuver. Now, this is a pretty big concave for Vindicta. You do not want to push in here, but he's just using this to kind of shield his movement with the Zealots. And now I'm going to try and rotate over and pick off some units. Vindicta, though, so far dealing with this pretty decently, except that he does lose a few SCVs on the third. Overall, it's fine.
It's fine.
SCVs isn't a big deal.
Yeah, and I think this is good angling for MCanning here. Gonna blink forward and take down that Liberator, which Vindicta was placing pretty nicely with a barricade of supply depots here as a shield. So he's trying to come out. Oh! Decent shot. Now, it could have been a little bit better, perhaps. Good Enhanced Shockwave. EMPs, however, onto the army of MCanning is going to force a retreat. The MCanning is already lagging something like 30 supply behind. He's going to chase all the way back. AoE is not present anymore, so MCanning has to find a way to disengage.
Yeah, and he doesn't find it. He loses so much stuff right there. Disruptor shot will come on in. Oh, but the split from Vindicta is game-saving. Another one going to try and land, but he gets the kill on it before it goes on. Storm somehow getting preemptively dodged, and now this is just a mop-up here from Vindicta. It's all Ogre.
It's all but Ogre. And with that, yeah, game number one is going to go to Vindicta, who scratches his head, right? Scratches his head at the end of the game, kind of like, what's going on? Like, that's kind of like the attitude that I like, the vibes that I get from his stream, right? It's like, what is this guy doing? It's kind of like half of his gig. So, yeah. Is that, maybe, I can't figure out if the name is Vindicta because of, like there's two words that are so similar from which the name could come. Of course, it could be a completely original name, but yeah, one is vindictive, right? Which is like, what is it, like vengeful?
Vengeful, yeah.
And the other one would be to vindicate someone.
Yes, yeah.
Which is to like free you of blame, suspicion, like, you know, which could also be the case. Which one do you think it is?
I don't know. I feel like it's probably a combo of both.
A combo? I like that.
Yeah, because they're both like very relevant to competition. I would say, like, you vindicate yourself as a competitor or whatever. You're like, you're kind of proving your worth, I guess. That's kind of like an interpretation, I guess.
For sure, yeah.
But getting vengeance on someone is definitely something that makes sense in competition.
I absolutely agree. I think that most players, they like I think that to play most games competitively at a high level, like if you want to win, you have to have a strong ego, like a strong sense of self, a strong drive. You have to want it, basically, or if you don't want it, you can't have it. That's just the way. That's just the way things work, really. Like like we get what we want, and if we want it, we pursue it, and if we don't, we don't. So definitely I think that that's undervalued is like sort of like a selfish drive to be the best. It's like in Pokemon, like you don't think of Ash Ketchup as some sort of like like sociopath or something, but he is actively saying like, I want to be the very best that no one ever was. And if he said that with a different intensity, if there wasn't like that lovely song playing like in the back where it's like, I wanna be the very best, like that sounds very like, oh yeah, like go Ash Ketchum. But what if it was like, I want to be the very best that no one ever was? Like that sounds a little different, right? Like that sounds a little bit more like what I think Ash Ketchum is like inside.
Yeah, that's a really great point. You could make a gritty reboot of Pokemon based on that, and it would turn very, very intense very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I want to be the very best that no one ever was.
Yeah.
Will be.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, Gary and like all of like the enemies of Ash are kind of that person. But Ash somehow like, manages to make the statement, I want to be the very best without... Niall, relax, Niall. Jesus H. In the top left-hand side, it is the very best that no one ever was. MCanning.
And spawning down in the bottom right, it is his enemy, Gary Oak, for the Cranky Ducklings. It's Vindicta. Yeah, that's a really, really cool concept. And, I'm glad you've brought that up because for me personally, I never really exerted the amount of will that you're talking about until relatively recently in my life. And I am not a young lad. I'm 32. I only started that kind of willpower-based thinking as a recent event. Like I used to just be like, oh man, well, like if I want something, I'll just get it. Whereas instead it's like, you have to want something. You have to really reach out and grab it. And it's not going to be something that just falls into your lap. And the concept of that, it's weird to say that I didn't like really take that to heart, but it's something that is a very, very important fundamental part of being human.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And in competition, I mean, you encounter, like all sorts of people everywhere, but there is like different brands of people, like, and I feel like I used to be like, when I was a competitive player, I feel like if I look back to that time, I was a completely different person as far as like my drives and like my ambition and like how I, perceived myself and how I like wanted like to, to be like recognized for like certain aspects and like, it was like just much more vivid. And sometimes I get like flashes of that, like for example, even like in like silly contests like Rank Roulette or the Caster Civil War, like like I get that sense of ego where I like start really wanting like the victories and stuff like that, and it is a great deal of fun, no doubt.
Yeah, it changes the approach to things very much so. I feel like I used to have that for StarCraft all the time, and not in a constructive way necessarily.
For sure.
I definitely had a more toxic mindset of the game based on that. But since then, I think I've definitely matured and settled down a little bit more. I still get like, I still have that desire to win, but it's not as all-consuming as it used to be, I think. By the way, we're going to be having a Hellion getting into the natural expansion. Going to be able to pick off
one probe,
one probe. Can he get more? Oh, that's a big lineup. He doesn't even get the wounded probes. Nice splits. Yeah,
really nice splits there from MCanning, and I can completely relate. And a lot of players, I think, use that type of fuel, right? Like, I think everyone in the audience can relate because this is a competitive game ultimately, and I mean, StarCraft players in general.
There's a brutal supply block for MCanning right now at 46.
Brutal.
Oh Absolutely. Boy, that is a really rough one. Building 3 pylons at once to try and compensate for that. But just to catch you guys up in case, you're listening for the radio cast or whatever, it was a Gate Nexus into a Blink opening, which got scouted by Vindicta very swiftly. Some nice probe micro to keep most of his probes alive. And you're all caught up. We talked about the game.
Yeah, is there radio cast people?
Actually, yeah, some people tune into my stream and they're like,
cool.
yeah, I'll like watch you
like
while
just
I'm
put
on
it in
the
the
road.
background. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah, so,
oh yeah, please don't like watch me while you're driving. They're like, no, just with audio. And I'm like, oh, well,
yeah. It would,
thank you.
It would be an awful shame if the game just ended without us ever talking about it. But yeah, the important stuff is about to transpire now. Vindicta now finally getting his build order set up. He's gonna cross the map with a Raven. I'm not the biggest fan of this usually. I prefer the Raven to be utilized as a tool to disable units, like important units in the main engagement. But if there isn't a Colossus or something like that scheduled on the side of MCanning, then, auto turret's going to be fantastic. So it is the case here. Oh, no, there's a Robe as I say that. So, yeah, he will still have some energy.
Yeah, we'll see if he keeps this. Okay, it looks like he's committing into that little corner where it can, keep your opponent at home and force out shield batteries and all that, but means you're not getting out of there. What do you think of that move versus saving up the energy for a big push? Personally, I think in TVT, it's become a lot better to save the energy. But what do you think about for TVP?
Yeah, I think in TVT it's a little bit more important to save the energy for sure. I think in TVP, if your enemy is going for Colossus or Disruptors, then the energy gains a lot of value. Otherwise, I think, anti-armor missile is good, but it's not that good, right? But so far, I mean, this is what I usually see from Ravens. It killed 1 probe. It'll probably end up killing 5 probes. Is that going to be enough to justify just not having that piece with your push? I don't know. More often than not, like I look at the situation and I'm like, yeah, I wish they just kept it with their push, but,
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like the number of times where you say like, oh man, if they could have disabled that one disruptor, it would have been game over at like 7-8 minute mark. I will say though, the anti-armor missile is obviously still very good, but I feel like the big reason that it doesn't feel like it has the high impact against like a big charge lot opener is the fact that we have a very little flank move coming in, but Vindicta, well, it gets spotted by that very nicely placed observer from MCanning. Yeah, excellent point out by Niall right there, showing us that was kind of a game-saving observer. Because if you lose 6 stalkers basically for free in the early game, that's going to make things really difficult for you. Oh, and there is that anti-armor missile coming down. And to finish my point, I feel like battery overcharge kind of invalidates it a little bit.
Well, yeah, that, and also like the timing is narrow now, right? It's already halfway done and Vindicta's not even done setting up. So that was a little bit of a missed timing from his Raven. MCanning is going to offer him the fight that he was looking for, however, which is a little bit surprising. Trying to pounce onto a few Marines, maybe not seeing or noticing that, no, he sees the tank siege in the back and everything. So I think he could have just waited for the anti-armor missile to expire. Regardless, gonna get a really nice trade here. Gonna catch that medevac on the way out with 2 tanks. And now MCanning in control of this game.
Tanks for the memories, says MCanning, as he gets a hugely advantageous fight. He's going to look to potentially push this for a dub right here. Does have to be a little bit careful, but yeah, really, really nice start to this. Those disruptors, by the way, not super high impact, but they were able to pick off 3 Widow Mines the outside of that fight, which made the Zealots so much more effective. Using them almost as a support role right there is a very cool maneuver.
Oh, good splits on the Zealots as well. So that is nice. And I'm kind of looking to exert his will here. Will he be able to? He needs to turn around, utilize this ramp to his advantage. Instead, he's going to give the corner to Vindicta. And yeah, with the next disruptor shot, he manages to zone out the unit. So no great losses there. Manages to evacuate just fine.
I really like the idea of that blink forward, by the way, from MCanning. Is there DTs going to town? Yeah, there's DTs in the natural and main. Oh, go and make it. Oh, but why did they just? Oh, he hides the DT.
Turret, yeah.
I guess he wants to keep it for later.
For sure, yeah, that's a pretty good move, right? Like,
and there he goes back in.
Lovely.
MCanning is playing a really nice game number 2 right here. I'm loving the way he's doing this.
It's beautiful, yeah. And now here comes the War Prism. It's got 1 DT and 3 Zealots. There is a little bit of a couple of turrets, though, in the perimeter of the main base of Vindicta. So not going to be easy to drop past those. MCanning with very good vision here. A couple of observers in the surroundings as well. The first turret is going to start shooting. It's just one turret, actually, so the War Person will just get by just fine. And MCanning drops at the DT in the corner. The Zealots to follow, and looking pretty good.
Yeah, and he's going to get one of those freshly popped ghosts. That is a really, really nice find. Doesn't realize there's a DT for a little bit. Will be an interception on this Zealot run by at the third, but overall this is still going very well. Oh my god. That was very close to going down. I really like the transition into Colossus behind this from MCanning. This is like the reverse of what we normally see, and this is the kind of thing where you actually could catch a Terran player off guard with this. Now, a scan comes down and he sees the Colossus coming out, so he's not going to get caught off guard, but the potential was there. I like the idea.
Love the idea here. So yeah, I think so as well. There's not that many Vikings. There's one at a time being made for Vindicta. And here comes the next transition. I think it's mostly going to catch Vindicta by surprise here, so should look pretty good for the Khan. Nigel, can we look at the army here as it is looking potent? The first traits are about to start here. There is a sentry with Guardian Shield available as well, and this might be the final moments of this game, because Vindicta is with his back against the wall, against Disruptor shots, never what you want, and MCanning is kind of just using them a little bit frivolously, though, especially that last one, and that means Vindicta is going to hold for now, but 46 supply in favor of the Khan man means that he is not done here.
No, most certainly not. He is well ahead in terms of army supply and army value, army quality upgrades. It's 1-2 versus 1-1. Disruptor shots come on in.
Willpower.
Oh, willpower way ahead, and he's going to get some huge disruptor shots. Oh my god. That's going to be it right there. GG.
GG. And with that, MCanning is going to tie the series, a series that we expected would be close between these two. What do we call them? Like cult leaders, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Cult classics.
I love cult classics. I absolutely love it. And the next game is coming up. So in the meanwhile, I would like to share that our observer Niall thought that True Crime was a vampire show. Like, what? How do you... like, how could...
That spawned a very funny little thread of commentary on that one afterwards, where we're talking about vampires just committing petty crimes.
Right? Yeah. How they it's not a vampire show. He's Swedish.
Yeah, he was obviously thinking of True Blood. Yeah, which is a vampire show in his defense, and they do run.
But
around
that one makes sense. I mean, vampires and blood. Vampire you can associate with blood pretty often. Not so much with crime. It's just criminal vampires. It's like you were saying, it's just so petty, right? Because it's like, you're immortal, man. Do you really need to go and steal stuff,
I wonder if vampires, I mean, there's so many different types of vampires at this point, but do vampires experience adrenaline rushes? Because if you're immortal, you would get bored, right?
Yes.
So you'd have to find ways of, entertaining yourself. And think about all the rich people who shoplift socks, for example, just to feel a thrill. So maybe vampires would fall under that same...
Maybe they would.
Yeah.
But at no risk. If there's no risk, it doesn't matter if you can predict what the future is going to hold, because you're safe. If you're safe, there's no excitement. There's no, there's nothing on the line, basically. So
yeah, that's why the gods envy us.
They do. It is absolutely true, and we can get into that after the intros, I guess, before Neil gets really upset. As in,
he's
top right-hand side, yeah. Top right-hand side, is he vindictive? Is he trying to vindicate himself for prior crimes? It is Vindicta.
Y'all's gonna refuse to ever work with me again. Can I get a rev up on this one? Spawning down in the bottom left, it is the All-American MCanning.
The All-American hero. Meow meow. So I get kind of delirious when I get tired as well. So apologies to the audience and to you and to anyone that just hates me right now. It is perfectly reasonable. And in fact, I think it is healthy to hate, so that in contrast, you may learn to love.
Oh, damn. If you don't know what hate is, can you even love it all?
You cannot. Yeah.
It's
absolutely not.
They're counterpoints. They're opposites. You need to understand one to experience the other.
That is completely correct. Yeah.
It's like how if every day was a good day, none of your days would be good days.
They would
be
not.
boring. They'd be
exactly. They would. Yeah. You would just have a new norm, right? And that was kind of like what we were getting at with that conversation, which is why I love it so much. Like that opening that you were offering to talk about, because it's true, man. It's true. There is that yin and yang element to things. And as far as like aging and like eternal life and why the gods would envy us, it makes perfect sense. Like think back to when we were kids, right? Like everything was surprising. Like kids are afraid of the dark because you walk into the dark and you don't know what's gonna come out of there. And as we age, as we become adults, we can walk freely into the dark for most of us anyway, right? Like we lose most of our fears because fear is rooted in the lack of understanding. And as we figure out what's going on, there's less fear, but fear is just the other side of excitement, right? And anxiety, excitement, hope, fear, they're all interlinked. And so, yeah, vampires would be awfully bored. I would never want to be a vampire, and I would never want to be a god in the traditional sense that, the Judeo-Christian or other ways. Yeah, I shouldn't name any gods because I'm gonna offend someone. But not the way to do it. No, human is the way. Human is the way.
I'm with you on that. I think I don't think I would want to be an immortal being just because life would lose so much savor. By the way, we got to talk about something very interesting that's actually happening. There is actually something super relevant in this game happening right now, and that is a reactor first. Just not that big of a deal. Double Marine, cool, normal, but he went double Reaper behind this. This is something Special loves to do, and I really not loves to do, but I've seen him do it in the past. And I know that Migs has learned a little bit from Juanito, and if he can, Oh, these are going to get spotted. Oh, that's so big. That is huge. Because I don't think there was a shield battery. No, there was no shield battery in the main base. There was a potential that the stalkers were just at the front as well. That could have been 5, 6, even 7 probes realistically going down if the double Reaper just sneaks into the main base and is unanswered,
Yeah, it's an off timing. So it's also like it comes down to reaction time and also unit positioning. Do you have enough units? Now he does. He brings back the Adept and he's going to be completely ready for those. So just the one probe going down. You're absolutely right, Steadfast. And that backfires. And I think you're right. I mean, there is a little bit of the Mexican influence of Juanito in Miguel Morelejo's play here. As they frequent each other's streams and talk to each other, and oftentimes it's Vindicta that models his play around Juanito, who he considers his StarCraft 2 elder, spirit animal of sorts.
Yeah, kind of his mentor to him. Vindicta. I wonder if Special considers Vindicta his protege. I wonder if he's like, you're me, junior.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
It's, by the way, speaking of which, this is a very Special-esque maneuver. Cloak Banshees in this matchup. We don't see it often for good reason. Blink Robo, super, super common opening. Very good against it. Phoenix openings, also very, very good against it. But both of those still rely on you scouting what happened. And MCanning, he has not yet seen this. If he doesn't see Cloak finish, if he doesn't see those Banshees leave, we could potentially see 2 Banshees killing 15 plus probes.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be really, really, it's within the cards here. The second Banshee is going to get out now and join its sister in flight as they look to cross the map and find some damage.
Did you just notice that on the, I don't know if it showed up on the Observer PC, but there was like a little sunbeam that came down through the water of 2,000 atmospheres and like illuminated those Banshees. It was almost like they blessed them.
They winked at each other. Is what happened there. Yeah.
Oh, that's
you didn't see the portrait. You didn't see the portraits.
I did not see the portraits. No, but you know,
I don't think we can see portraits actually in this with this interface.
No one can prove that it didn't happen.
Yeah. All right, well, they're going to come in here. They're going to cloak up, and they're going to find a bunch of probes before their answer. There's the recall as well on the side of MCanning, but it is just kind of like a gacha type recall. There's no actual observer with the army. So there is an observer being produced, but MCanning was hoping that Vindicta saw that and kind of evacuated the Banshee. So it was a little bit of a mind game on the side of the Can, but like you were saying, that's gonna be devastating damage from these two, from the two Twisted Sisters. 14 probes.
Perfectly just shy of making me correct. I love it. Absolutely nailing
how many
winning damage while just still making the caster wrong. That was perfect. I called 15 plus.
15 plus. Oh, that's like, 15 minus is what happened.
Oh, exactly. On the plus minus, I would have come out. But in all seriousness, that is massive damage. That is gigantic.
Yeah, and to be fair, had the Banshees committed to do as much damage as they can do before they die, it would have been like 17 or 18, right? So there is a lot of value in that the Banshees are still alive and can come back to actually kill more stuff or even aid in the fight. So those Banshees are definitely 15 plus.
They will be eventually. Yeah,
exactly.
It's not. They haven't realized their potential yet. Their full potential. We are going to see a scan coming on down. By the way, Vindicta sees that army is puny. Oh, he does see a zealot run by though. I guess is that okay, he sees this and he's gonna pincer it. Very nice little move to make sure that it cannot escape on out. That was a really nice maneuver from Vindicta. He says, I'm in no rush. I'll take 400 free minerals. Hell yeah, I will.
Yeah, hell yeah, he will. He is now, Vindicta is now 30-40 supply ahead, so it's looking pretty good for him. 35 if we are to be exact, and it is looking difficult for the Can to hold. Those disruptor shots have not been of the quality that we would expect from the Can. The Banshee is looking for their 15th, 17th.
Disruptor takes down the tank, and that's good.
Yeah,
but
it's gotta be -3, so 18. They're at 18.
Oh, he's gonna lose. Oh, gonna lose one of them, but he actually kills one of the stalkers. Didn't have the hold position. It looks like DT's. Wait, was that DT's? No, he doesn't even have a. No, he does have a Dark Shrine. Yeah, one DT trying to get in and get some equalizing damage. That was part of MCanning's, big moves previously. The other part was this phenomenal observer placement that continuously kept tabs on Vindicta's army, and now Vindicta will get kind of jumped on. Disruptor. Oh, okay. Not bad.
Yeah, that's one of the better disruptor shots in the series so far, which is weird to say in an MCanning approved game, because this man usually has disruptors for days. Vindicta doing a wonderful job here, pulling MCanning out of position while bringing the rest of his army forward. Not gonna have the room to actually focus fire onto the shield battery overcharge here, but he's still gonna push her forward with his one medevac and the mines that he has set up. So nice moves from Miguel I forget his last name. Melberejo, something.
Migs.
Migs.
He's still in a solid position, but MCanning just survived a pretty scary moment. He's going to try and secure his third base. He's got 1-1 upgrades. He did go double forge as a delayed action, but he's got his 1-1 upgrades coming close to finishing up. Extended thermal lance as well on the way. He's hitting a big power spike to maybe find some defensive velocity, some defensive momentum. As I say that, Widow Mine, oh wow, somehow doesn't go off.
Does not go off, and those probes are going to survive for the time being as MCanning tries to secure a fourth base. If he's able to, then we might see this game drag out to where MCanning can maybe look to stabilize and still look to take it serious. At the moment, it looks really good for Vindicta, who has incredible eyesight to spot that Dark Templar as well. There was this clip that I saw on Reddit once, exactly of Vindicta with Juanito, and Vindicta was just moving across screens. And as he was moving across screens very quickly, Juan was like, there was an observer. And I was like, what the hell? And Vindicta goes back and he scans and there was an observer, but the speed at which Juan picked up that there was an observer on the screen was actually insane. I was like, yeah, okay. Well, that's insane.
He actually just interfaces with the game directly. He's not crazy, he's not fully human. That's why he always wins DreamHack Masters Latin America. He's partially interfaced in with the game.
Probably. I mean, at this point he has been. Great disruptor shots. That's exactly what he needed. Can he deal with the drop in the main? This is very important, and a good blink forward. He could be looking to punish this medevac. It's going to be very difficult for Vindicta to retreat now, and he doesn't have an opportunity to really push with the rest of his army either. So this is a very successful 30 seconds or so for the Can. who was behind like 35 supply less than a minute and a half ago or so, now finds himself 15 ahead.
That was a huge swing of momentum. That is about as big of a swing of momentum as we see in a game of professional StarCraft at this level these days. That was very, very nice out of MCanning. And it all started off with a little bit of a distraction from those DTs, or that single DT, even sneaking in on the fourth base. Man, what a great setup there for MCanning.
Yeah, MCanning, he is doing it. A beautiful drop here as he's gonna get scanned on his way out. But on the back of that, he's gonna secure a fifth. He has a little bit of a squadron of Zealots on the other side. Nice defense, however, set up for Vindicta. Gonna be difficult to get Rambais into that base and be successful at it. But yeah, things definitely looking much better for the Khan now. Supplies are about even, upgrades are similar. And MCanning is going to look to push the issue here as he has Disruptors. Again, this is the position that you want to be using Disruptors in with your opponent up against the wall.
A nice little multi-prong once again coming in from MCanning. He does need to be a little bit careful. He's getting a lot of SCVs with this. 12 SCVs going down and utilizing his opponent's kind of awkward SimCity to take... Funnily enough, it didn't go as well as it could have for him. It could have been a lot better, but to still take a good position overall. Now, we do have a triple drop on the right side, and this is going to force a recall. That's pretty nice for Vindicta. That's going to give him a little bit of momentum back in his game.
Yeah, that's okay. So like in that trade-off at Vindicta's fourth base, I guess it was kind of nice because the barracks actually soaked up so much of the damage that the Disruptors weren't threatening the SCVs. But MCanning does find room to make something work on the other expansion, which I thought was pretty well protected. So all in all, I think this was okay for either player. As Vindicta, this could be the start of a pseudo base race. It's a good one.
Oh, and what a way for MCanning to do it. Now, we do see the attack coming back in, the triple drop coming back in, and that is a big problem for MCanning. He does not have the recall available. The Zealots are going to hold this army back, and with the Disruptor shot from earlier, that will be enough to clean this up. Now, we do see the third base, the original third base going down here, but MCanning is pushing into the natural.
Pushing into the natural like the vampires from True Crime, just completely relentless here as the SCVs are going to be clumped enough for a massive Disruptor shot. On the other side of things, Vindicta is trying to regroup. He's trying to surround. He's trying to get a 360 MLG surround, but I mean, he's going to have to come down his ramp and turn a corner into this. This is looking all Khan. GG.
And just like that, MCanning takes the series and does it.